factory guy to history to the enthusiast, we got them all. We'll also have new vehicle reviews of the Cadillac XT6. And at 11:22 this morning, Central Time, Don Armstrong will have his Craftsman Tool rant. And I encourage you to tune in for that or tool in for that. We'll also have our weekly Ram Tracks and Jeep Trails features. We'll have this week's automotive news, the Mystery Garage, Conrad's Car Clinic. It's all just ahead in another jam-packed 2-hour in-wheel-time car show for Saturday, July 25, 2020. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us today. Thank you very much. And as I mentioned, it's going to be about the Dodge brand. We're going to talk about the model lineup. We're also going to talk about a thing called the performance pages, which is inside the Uconnect system, the infotainment system, inside a lot of the Dodge products, as well as Jeep and their high-performance Jeep models. Right. Yes. So it really goes across some of the FCA brands, and we think that you'll really enjoy it and appreciate it. Are we ready with Ashton?
Yes, sir. He's here.
Why don't we just go ahead and just start right off the bat. He is from Dodge. His name is Ashton Munoz. Ashton, hey, it's always good to see you. Thanks so much. Is that your home garage? I'm sorry, that's your home garage?
No, I wish. I'm actually up north in northern Michigan right now.
In a bar?
No, little coffee shop.
Little coffee shop. Yeah. Well, northern Michigan. So we're actually experiencing a little. Actually, it's a hurricane. It turned into a hurricane overnight called Hurricane Hannah, and I think that there's a Jerry Reed song in that somewhere. But at any rate, how is weather up there? Are you in the UP?
I'm very close to the UP. The weather's been beautiful. I drove a Charger Scat Pack up. It was absolutely amazing. So I can't complain at all. Hopefully you guys are doing well too.
Well, we're not doing as well as you are, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
But it's always good to see you. You're looking sharp this morning. We appreciate it. So we're going to have a couple of segments with you this morning.
Yeah.
One of them is going to be now. We're going to talk about the Dodge brand model lineup. And then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk about the Uconnect performance pages, and we always look forward to that. So let's start with the Dodge brand because matter of fact, before we get started with you, I wanted to read a story that appeared on Automotive News that I think really kind of brings it all home for us both. I'm sure that you've read the article too. So FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobile's high-octane Dodge brand, known for its dedication to muscle cars, led mass marketers in a J.D. Power study measuring excitement and emotional attachment to new vehicles. And since we're car guys, we get that, that's for sure. J.D. Power's Automotive Performance, Execution, and Layout study, a complement to its initial quality study released last month, measures attributes across 37 areas experienced by owners, ranging from the sense of comfort and luxury they feel when climbing into the driver's seat to the feeling they get when they step on the accelerator, according to the company. Scores are based on a 1,000-point scale. Dodge is the first domestic brand to earn first-place honors in the appeal and quality studies in the same year. Dodge was followed by FCA's Ram truck brand.
Congratulations.
FCA captured two wins for the Dodge Challenger and the Ram 1500. So, but before we get into that specifically, I know that there have been some changes in the Dodge lineup that's announced just recently, as a matter of fact. Maybe you can shed some light on that for us. He's frozen, and I think that we've lost him.
I can totally do that. Joe.
Now we got you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we got you back.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
I have some stuff to show as well, so I can show you that too. It just kind of goes over our whole lineup. But when you mentioned the appeal study, we actually also got the J.D. Power IQS study. So this is the first time ever any brand has been #1 in J.D. Power IQS and #1 in J.D. Power for appeals. So we're very, very proud of that.
What is IQS?
So initial quality study.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we got #1 in quality, and like you said, #1 in appeal. And that's actually the only time any brand has ever been #1 in quality and appeal.
Well, congratulations, but it's
Seriously.
not a surprise. My daughter has a Dodge Challenger, a 2015 model, and of course, Mike and I get to drive new cars out of the press fleet quite often. When we always look forward to any of the Dodge vehicles,
absolutely.
and especially the Scat Packs and the Hellcats and the really high performance. But I have to compliment you. Let's not leave out the V6, the standard engine that comes with most of them. It's got plenty of punch too.
Yeah, the V6s have plenty of punch, up to 300 horse for a sedan in this market, when most economy sedans and other vehicles are kind of getting in the 200 range. So it's definitely a quick car, and you can actually feel the weight difference too. So it's a very fun driver.
So let's get back to the model lineup changes that were announced here recently by the Dodge folks, and they're getting away from some of the cars and SUVs.
That's right. And I just shared my screen, so let me know if you want to take it back, or if not, this is fine too. But
you're good.
You're good.
This goes into our lineup for 21. Is Dodge is America's performance brand. So we have the Charger, the Challenger, and the Durango. All of those have the available 300 horse starting, and then up to over 700 horsepower, and across our entire lineup. So obviously we start with the Charger. It is the world's most powerful production sedan, period. It's the fastest mass-produced sedan. It's Consumer Reports recommended. And then we just talked about the IQS and Appeal as well. And then you have the Challenger, which is, it's the world's most powerful muscle car, hands down. And for 21, it is the fastest muscle car that can run a quarter mile. So obviously we're always wanting to be number one. That was kind of our big thing for 21 model year. So you'll see that roll over into the Charger, that roll into the Challenger, and then lastly, but not least, the refreshed 21 model year Durango. So again, you'll hear me say world's most powerful probably way too many times, but that's just Dodge.
That's all right.
But this is the world's most powerful SUV. It's the only one of the V8 in the class. Best in class towing and the biggest screen too. So obviously we're all about performance and and power in V8 engines, but we also are about technology too. And all of these vehicles have insane amounts of power and technology.
Now, Mike and I haven't had the Durango yet, and you mentioned the screen. Did you guys steal the 12-inch screen out of the Ram truck and put it in the Durango?
So not that one. This screen is actually really cool. It's a 10.1-inch screen, and it's horizontal, so it sits really nice and well inside the Durango cabin.
Well, we can't wait, hint, hint, to get a hold of that. It's almost a 12-inch screen that sits horizontal on the dash of the new Durango, the revamped Durango.
Yep, the refreshed Durango. And then one more thing, just on top of all that, obviously we're all car guys and girls here, and everyone likes a deal. And we try to keep it super simple at Dodge, so we have power dollars going on. So it applies to all three of these vehicles. $10 per horsepower back from the factory. So right off the bat, you're saving $10 a horse on all these cars.
$10 a horsepower.
What a great way to promote your power programs that you have out there, because either from the V6 all the way up to the Hellcat, how much do you want to save is how fast do you want to go?
How fast do you want to go?
Exactly. So right off the bat, you're saving at least $3,000 anywhere to the Challenger Red Eye or the Super Stock, getting up almost $8,000.
So obviously there has been a lot of overtime put in between the marketing department and the finance department there at Dodge to actually work together and come up with this very, very unique promotion. I've never heard of such a thing, but what a great deal that can be had by all of the buyers out there and those that are interested.
Yep.
And you know, the other thing too that I think that is worthy of mentioning is the fact of the resale value of these cars is relatively high compared to other American brands, and and there's a reason for that. I think that it just is a testament to the fact that you guys have put together a package that is affordable and it lasts a while. So when the guy buys a new, let's say a Challenger Hellcat, and he keeps it for a year, and you and I both know that there are lots of guys out there that have the means to be able to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That when they trade that car in, it's still worth a lot more money than many of the other brands out there in the same category, if you really want to call them the same category.
It is, and obviously with being an FCA company, Dodge, there's a lot of other vehicles within the FCA portfolio that are awesome in resale, like the Wrangler. Everybody knows that's been an amazing resale car for numerous years. The Charger and the Wrangler actually won this year again. The Charger being the 6th year in a row for ALG Residual Value Award. So as long as we're talking awards and values, I might as well throw that one in there.
Well, I have to admit to you that I was watching an episode of Roadkill last night, and they happened to put the Dodge Charger Hellcat up against a Ferrari in the quarter mile. Now, granted, there is certainly a weight advantage on the Ferrari, and yes, it did beat the Charger, but let me tell you something.
Yeah, but it's only 4 times the price.
Yeah, 4 times the price, and the Charger did run in the 10-second quarter mile category, so you can't really beat that too much, I don't think.
No, not at all, and especially for 21. I don't want to jump ahead here at all, but I have some stuff, and we can talk super high performance for 21. And I want to get into the quarter mile because I know we spoke last time a little bit about it, but getting a sedan in the 10-second, let alone mid 10 seconds for the production sedan is just an incredible feat nowadays.
Well, please, you don't need our invitation to talk about it. Go right ahead. We're sitting on the edge of our seats.
I'll save the 2 fast ones for last. The Charger Challenger are 2 top performance models for 21, but I want to get into the Durango MCA. It's a really big story for 21 model year. The car you're seeing right here in the background is actually an RT. So obviously we always like to talk about our Hellcats, our high performance models, our Red Eyes, our Demons. But we wanted to carry some of that DNA down into the kind of the bread and butter of our lineup. Which is kind of the RT in the Durango world. So this Durango, you'll see, it's got the flat bottom steering wheel available on the RT GT. That is the 10.1 inch radio I was speaking of. So it kind of sits a little horizontal in there. Wireless charging pads all throughout the models. Both types of USB. Obviously, we're seeing the switch over to USB Type C. So you'll see that in all the cars now. And then we actually went back to hard buttons for some comfort control. So ventilated seats, heated seats now have hard buttons right in that dash there.
I love it. And I have to tell you that I just got out of another brand here recently that had no hard buttons in it, and it drove me insane.
Yeah. One of those things you wish you just had at your fingertips and you didn't have to dig through screens to easily turn on or off.
And it's a known fact because the studies have been done that people want a volume knob and they want a tuning knob, and thank goodness that you guys have paid attention and you got that.
Well,
exactly.
That all comes down to listening to the customer.
That's it.
And we know that Dodge has done a great job of listening to the customers as long as we've been involved with them. I remember going up to Texas Stadium that one time when they did I think it was the CMA Awards, and Dodge was there with a big event, and that's what they were doing is they were listening to what the customer. They were wandering around asking them what they thought. It was it was a Ram event, but asking them what they thought of the product.
Yeah, it's cool you bring that up too, and that's a huge part of our job. And I just think with how everything is today, it actually makes it a little easy for us to hear the customer through social media, through all types of email, all that kind of stuff, all the media events we see and talk to customers at. But that is a huge part of the Dodge DNA, is listening to customers. And that'll be a big part on the Charger and Challenger when I get to those.
Well, let's just go ahead and get to those right now, because we're still sitting on the edge of our seat.
All right, so here are the two top dogs for 21 model year. So on the left side, you'll see the Charger Red Eye. That is a 797 horsepower sedan from the factory. It is the most powerful. It's the fastest mass production sedan in the world. Mike dropped with the sedan game. We had to put the Demon engine in the Charger. So with that, like I said, you have nearly 800 horsepower. We actually did a little revamp of the Brembo system and the branding on our brakes for 21 model year. So all the 21 model year SRTs, you'll actually see SRT branded on the Brembo brakes, and then they're a little larger as well. And then we have new 20 by 11 inch lightweight carbon black wheels. So these are the lightest 20 by 11 inch wheels that we offer today on all the wide body cars. And then a new hood too. So you'll see that right off the bat. It's a little different than our hood in the outgoing Hellcat model. And this hood is actually 100% functional. That big scoop in the front feeds an inlet on the airbox. And then there's two dual heat extractors on the exterior that pull heat out of the engine bay.
Which is very important when you're creating that much power, is to get the heat out of the engine bay as well. It just keeps the engine at its proper operating temperature.
Yep, heat is the number one enemy for these super high performance engines, and there's a lot of things we can talk about. Even in our next section, when we get into performance pages, there's a bunch of really cool things we did with thermal to make these cars even faster.
So let's move.
And then last,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, let's move on to the Challenger. That's my car there.
So the Challenger. Well, I mean, what do you do already with a 797 horsepower muscle car? The one thing that we were missing is grip, and that's been the story since day one, since when we launched the Hellcats. Got the wide body to increase grip. Well, now we need even more grip. Spinning those 20 by 11s, we just couldn't hook up enough. So with the Super Stock, the world's quickest, most powerful muscle car, like I said, you get the 6.2 liter engine. It has a boost though. So instead of 797, we're 10 horsepower boost, we're running 807 horsepower. So the shift points increase from 63 to 64 to support that horsepower.
And you get an extra $100 off on the rebate.
True. So you'll save money.
Well, I think I heard somewhere in the pipeline that you guys actually consulted construction equipment manufacturer, the steamroller division, and tried to get those underneath the rear suspension, a big, huge steamroller tire.
We tried everything we could. We pulled a few tricks out of the hat though for the Super Stock. So one thing you'll see here is the brakes. We put the smaller brakes on the front instead of the big 6-piston Brembos. We have the 4 pistons on the front to keep the weight down in the front, along with 309 rear axle, so higher rear axle ratio. And then instead of the 20-inch wheels, we're going the 18 by 11, so more sidewall, more grip. And then instead of the outgoing 305 width tires, we're going to 315 Nitto drag radials all around.
Nitto drag radials from the factory.
Only car right now that's offering drag radials.
When does the car hit the showroom?
So it will be a late 20 model year. So it'll be a short run in 20 model year, and then full production in 2021. So you'll be able to order 21s towards the end of this year, and they'll start arriving on dealer lots early 2021. But dealers and customers will be able to put a small order in the 20 model year.
Well, the three of us are trying to pool our money right now while you're talking to figure out how we can put this all together.
Now, a quick question: the Challenger Super Stock, is that the color, or is there going to be some options?
No, this is just our hero color. We did the reveal car in this Go Man Go, but yeah, it'll be open to the full palette of colors.
Okay,
that
just
we
checking.
offer.
Ashton, it's great to talk to you. We're going to be back with us here in about 10 minutes, and we're going to talk about the performance pages. You good with that?
All good. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Ashton Munoz, Dodge brand, the guy. And we're going to talk to him at the bottom of the hour, as I mentioned, about the performance pages. Just ahead, we review the Cadillac XT6. Be sure and join us each and every Saturday for our live show, 10 a.m. to noon on our website, inwheeltime.com, Facebook and YouTube, and catch our podcasts on your favorite podcast channel. In Wheel Time continues after a quick break. Stay with us.
Are you one of those people who thinks it's okay to drive stoned? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit? It's no big deal, right? Wrong. The truth is, your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show on this Saturday. We really appreciate you joining us. Time now for this hour's car review. Got a chance to drive the 2020 Cadillac XT6. Available trim levels include the Premium Luxury and Sport. I had the Premium Luxury front-wheel drive. It does come in all-wheel drive as an option. It's a small SUV according to the government. We like to call it a midsize. It is a 3-row SUV. It will seat up to 8 passengers. Exterior changes from last model year. There was no last model year. It's all new for 2020. Exterior features, sharp overall look. Front fascia design with the squinty headlights at the very top makes it look like a menacing locomotive in a good way. Tail lights, very similar to the XT5, a little different. It's good looking on the outside. Sunshade over the rear glass. The 400 that is notable on the rear hatch refers to, sitting down?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out because there's not a 4-liter in it.
No. And I had to actually do some research to find out what the 400 meant. So the 400 nomenclature on the back hatch refers to 367 Newton meters of torque, rounded up to the nearest 50. Makes it 400.
Okay.
Now, who and why did somebody think of that?
Well, because 357 would have made everybody think it was a gun.
But
Seriously, who
meters? They use pound feet
why
of
would you
torque.
put 400 on it? I don't understand. It makes no sense to me for people, dummies like me, that ask the question.
I've asked the question because that's
367 Newton meters, not pound feet, but Newton meters.
Anyhow, on with the review.
What could use improvement? To me, the exterior does not say Cadillac. That's just who I am.
But they all have that series of smaller Cadillac SUVs all have a very familiar look.
Well, this is not a smaller SUV.
But it's not an Escalade with a full frame. It's still a CUV, and all 3 of them, the 4, 5, and 6, all have a relatively familiar look.
They do.
Which isn't Cadillac-y enough for you.
Just saying. Interior highlights. Speakers built right in the dash face. That was different. Kind of liked it. Different looks for the various trim packages and a large plastic piece on the passenger side of the dashboard. Sliding cup holder for the second row. The third row is difficult to get in and out of. Once you get back there, if you can, I hope that you are flexible. because this is one of those vehicles that they squeezed a third row in it.
It has a third row, but it's not an adult.
What I liked about it, I like the GM infotainment system, easy to use and understand. What could use improvement? Again, the third row and the sliding second row that doesn't fold or tumble forward, so it really doesn't give you enough foot room to get your feet in there.
Into the back.
Now, granted, I do have a size 12 foot, but still.
Well, when I looked at it, I wasn't wowed by the interior. You look at some of the interiors, some of these vehicles that are coming out today, especially in the luxury segment, and you look inside and it's like, wow, is that awesome looking. This one was good looking, but it didn't just kind of blow my hair back.
You know, Conrad, and I have to be honest with you, I know that I'm jilted in my view of Cadillac because my aunt and uncle in Alabama always had Cadillacs dating back to the mid-50s.
Right.
As long as I can remember, they had Cadillacs. And there was this certain sense of luxury about them.
It was a status symbol at one point.
Yeah, I mean, huge chrome, all of the stuff of the day. Now, I understand it's not that way any longer.
But the exterior and the interior said, I am a prestige car.
And I didn't get that feeling in this. 3.6-liter V6, 310 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque, plenty with the
400 Newton meters if you round it up to the upper 50. You're welcome.
I'm still aghast at that. Tow rating, well, this may be a good thing for 400 because it has 4,000 pounds of tow ability.
How many Newton meters
yeah,
is that?
can you convert that to Newton meters?
18 miles per gallon city, 25 highway for combined to 20. I got 23.5 over 415 miles. What I liked.
And that's good in that size SUV.
Plenty of power. What could use improvement? Where's the hybrid version of it? I mean, why not? They've got all that technology. Just stick it in there.
And what I've read is Cadillac is going to start being the innovator in that hybrid platform and EV platform for General Motors. So
that's correct. And I've got a story about that coming up. What I liked about it, it was, as far as ride and handling was concerned, very comfortable in the ride and handling department. Adjustable ride control is standard on the Sport model, which is actually a bump up. Base trim price $52,695. Prices tested $69,585. It was loaded up with lots of additional options. Base model price $52,695. Competitors: the Audi Q7 for $54,800, Acura MDX for $44,500, and the Lincoln Aviator for $51,100. And that is the review of the Cadillac XT6. Hey, 30-minute podcasts of this show are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. You can also catch our video stream on Facebook.com/InWheelTime and on YouTube/InWheelTime. Quick break now. Right back after more of these messages.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would you do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the weekly In-Wheel Time car show. Time now for a look at the car calendar and the racing calendar, and Conrad always has that for us.
And I'm going to keep this kind of short. Klein Band on October 10th at Klein High School is having an event that's a fundraiser for the band. October 25th, Northside Mustang Club is going to have their open car show at the Conroe Outlets. Racing.
This is
October.
Okay.
Racing. Going on here locally, CJ Spencer had kind of shared with me to kind of not promote, but to talk about some of the local dirt track stuff that's going on as well. So, there's tonight, it's already been rained out at the Gulf Coast Speedway in Alvin.
We're going to talk about it anyway.
Well,
that's because we're making it short.
Well, just to let people know that the Cotton Bowl Speedway in Page, the 105 Speedway in Cleveland, the Gulf Coast Speedway in Alvin, and the Texana Speedway in Edna are all going to have events on the 1st or the 8th as well. So
well, Gina's having a big event next weekend.
That's going to be on the 1st.
And we're keeping our fingers crossed it doesn't rain.
Asphalt racing at its best at Houston Motorsports Park.
There'll be social distancing and masks, but you come on out.
And it's local NASCAR, not national NASCAR.
Correct.
So definitely come on out and support it.
Okay, and that's the racing calendar. Do we have the car calendar, or did you do that
I already did.
Oh, you kind of melded it all in there together. All right.
You told me to keep it short,
Well,
and I never
did.
do.
Well, I'm trying to make it longer, apparently. Okay, we're going to have more of Ashton Munoz right after a quick break here on the In Wheel Time Show.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@nwheeltime.com. Howdy, and this is your weekly go-to award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time. Today is Dodge Day. This segment, we delve into the performance pages of many of Dodge's hot rods. We also have our Jeep Trails feature and peek into this week's Mystery Garage, plus the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Bars and King Conrad DeLong. Don Armstrong here, so glad that you could join us. And speaking of joining us, once again, Ashton Munoz from not quite the UP of Michigan, but he says he's close. And we're kind of jealous because the weather here is kind of ugly today. But Ashton, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. So this hour, we're going to talk about the performance pages. And if people aren't familiar with the Dodge brand and the Uconnect system, the performance pages, how would you describe the performance pages? Well,
if Don will potch up,
no,
hold on a second.
I've got him up. Hold on, Ashton.
You guys can
There you are.
That was Mr.
Okay,
Marr's
okay.
issue over there.
So the performance pages is really, it's almost like a dashboard on how to control, see all the settings going on with your car. And it has everything from, race features to driving settings from your steering wheel, suspension, all the way to gauges. So I believe last time we went through the gauges section.
Right.
And there was I think we may have talked briefly on drive modes, and then there were a bunch of other race features I wanted to cover with you guys, and that's what I was talking about earlier, battling heat. There's a bunch of really cool features in the performance pages, and all the race options that we battle heat with.
So if you don't mind, let's start with exactly how you get to the performance pages. It's relatively simple, isn't it?
Relatively simple. On the SRT vehicles, you'll see a little button that says drive modes, and you press drive modes and it brings you up into a screen, and I actually can show that again. I have a few more screens if you want me to.
We certainly do.
Please do.
All right, let me pull that up for you guys. All right, so if you see here, sorry about that. So this is the drive mode screen. So if you click on the drive modes button, it'll pull you up here. It'll pull you to a dashboard as well too. And then you can get into this drive mode and then actually change a lot of different features of the vehicle. So anything from power, on the Hellcats, you can dial it back to 500. It seems crazy to say dial it back to 500.
Well, let me ask you this. Why would you dial it back to 500?
Well, so in a lot of the times we actually see these cars, they're daily driver cars. People have these, especially the Charger, people are using them with their families. Let's say if, you have a young child that's just learning to drive a car, Maybe you don't want them to have the full 700.
Yeah, let's dial them back to
cab.
500 and teach them how to drive. Do you have a 200 mark in there somewhere?
But when you dial back the power, let's just say from 800 to 500, does that change any of the other settings on it? Does it give it more a fuel economy besides giving it less power?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that happen. All the features change when you dial it back, and we also have an eco mode. So obviously, you dial the power back from 800. The fuel mapping's different, so you're not using as much fuel on every press of the gas or every time you stomp on the pedal. And then with eco mode, that actually dials it down, not the horsepower, but that just puts the car into a mode where you're basically telling it, hey, I want to get the best fuel economy possible. So, and there's a huge difference too. If you put it on track mode, tap the gas, I mean, you hear the tires chirp. If you put it on auto mode with eco on, tap the gas, it feels just like an everyday sedan that you take up north and let your 16, 17-year-old daughter or son drive.
Is the fuel savings significant when you put it in the eco mode?
Would be
it really
for me.
is, and I can have more experience actually on the 5.7 and the Scat Packs that we offer. They're really cool. On both of those engines, we offer a fuel saving mode. So basically, it turns the V8 into a 4-cylinder. It uses the unused cylinders as kind of air brakes, and the car goes into a 4-cylinder mode, which significantly saves fuel.
Well, I think that's very significant in itself. I mean, we always talk about these cars, the SRT brands of cars, and we always talk about the high horsepower. But, for many, many, many buyers and people that actually have these as the family car and commute back and forth to work. And in Houston, really, we commute here on an average of at least 20 miles a day overall. And some even further than that. I know at one time I commuted 50 miles to work one way. And so when you're commuting, you don't need the 800 horsepower. Going down the Hardy Toll Road, you're going to probably do 70 miles an hour, maybe 80 miles an hour. But I'd rather do that in the eco mode as opposed to the full range of 800 horsepower and all the things that it'll do.
Yes, and it's cool too because you can switch it right on the fly. So let's say, I'll use a real world example. On my way up north this week, on the highway, I just had it in auto mode. It was running on 4 cylinders on the Scat Pack. And then, when we got off the highway and got to some of the more twisty roads, I put it in sport or even track, and you can hear the exhaust kind of be louder. The traction's less, the suspension's stiffer, the steering wheel's stiffer, and it just feels tighter and louder, and everything's more instant. But it's awesome because it really is right on the fly.
It's more badassier.
Yes,
but it's a fully integrated change as you change between each of those modes. It's not just the output of the engine; it's fully integrating everything: transmission, suspension, brakes,
paddle shifters,
steering,
everything.
Yeah.
That's right. And then you can also customize it. So I like, I joke around about my Detroit mode. I always put it in, but that's basically, all full power, but planned for potholes in the road. So put the suspension on the street.
Potholes and those iron plates they cover the potholes with.
See, I like that though because you could run it with the full 700, 800 horsepower to enter the freeway. You can get up to that 70 miles an hour really, really quick, and then kick it over into your eco mode so that you can save
Pay no attention to him, Ashton, because here's a guy that has a glove box that's full of unpaid tickets for speeding and doing reckless things on the freeway with your cars.
I didn't hear that.
And I didn't say it either.
Well, yeah. So let's continue on with the performance pages. So we know that we can dial back the power, but there's other features as well.
That's right. So this kind of whole list, I'll go down with. It's a bunch of really cool options and features on these cars. So line lock. I'm sure everybody knows what line lock is, but if there's anybody listening that doesn't, it's basically the newest way to heat up your rear tires, clean them up before you go drag racing. Back in the day, and I'm sure we've done this you can't even count how many times we've done it, but a little brake torque. So you hit the brake, hit the gas, spin the brake, break the back tires loose. But the only bad thing, obviously, is you're wasting rear rotor when you do that, when you overcome it. And you're heating up the rotor and all that too. So with this, obviously, lock the front brakes. It's all electronic. You can heat up the rears, clean off your tires, and then line up for staging.
Heat up the rears. Notice he doesn't say do a smoke show, right? It's just heating up the rear tires.
Or a burn down. He doesn't say that. He doesn't use those words because he is a factory guy, and he knows those words.
He's just heating up the tires.
He's just heating up the tires and getting more traction on there. Yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Making the sticky
so
come
that's
out.
One. So a line lock is standard on our Scat Packs and above. So Scat Pack, Hellcat, Red Eye, Super Stock, those will all come standard with a line lock. Another one is launch control. So this one's very useful, and you guys know too this probably better than anybody. But one thing that we try to do is consistency for these cars in drag racing. Drag racing is super fun for pros and amateurs. But one of the things that makes it even more fun is when you can get consistent times. So you can do the launch control. You can set your RPMs depending on what wheels and tires you have on the car, how prepped the track is, or if it's prepped at all. Obviously, the higher you set it, the more grip you'll have to get that launch. But you can dial it in and out through this launch control setting.
Does it, when you do the launch control setting, does it also does it keep it from not rolling through the staging lights? I mean, how does that work?
So you'll pull up the drive modes button. You'll get into the launch control setting on here. You'll activate it, and then it's all through the screen. So it'll basically tell you to press the gas and the brake simultaneously and at the same time. You'll be doing that, and as you're doing that, air will be going through the engine. Your front brakes will be held, and as soon as you let off that brake, it then activates everything in the engine, and then you're off.
All hell breaks loose is what you're saying.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
Wow. Well, so it's really none of that stuff that I actually went through when trying to drive that 6-cylinder and keep the tires from lighting up in the back end at the drag strip on a Friday night.
We're just making it easier and easier for everybody nowadays.
Well, I mean, that's what it's all about, and why not? Because if you've got the computer know-how to do all of this stuff, and it really doesn't take a lot of knowledge to do it. I mean, it's pretty easy the way that it's all set up.
Yeah, it's all in there, so it's like, why not take advantage of the cool technology that we have and actually offer it to the customers and owners for them to be able to control.
Well, you're not going to go ahead.
And that's when you're talking about the consistency, because this truly is what makes these muscle cars, by the oldest definition there is. You can drive it all week long, take it out to the track, and you can be consistent and you can be competitive with these vehicles using these tools at the track.
And Ashton, I have to add on to that the fact that, we always talk about the Red Eye, the Hellcat, all the new 800 horsepower and all that sort of stuff. But I have to tell you that I think that my favorite car of all is the 392 Scat Pack, the normally aspirated engine. It's got plenty of horsepower, and it's more affordable, obviously, than the supercharged versions of it. And it's just my preference. Plus, you can also get a manual transmission in it.
So I totally agree with you personally, and all of our customers seem to agree with you as well. Right now on the Charger and the Challenger, our Scat Pack has been shooting up. It's one of our most popular models. And I think just obviously you said the price, the value, it's right around $40,000, and to get near 500 horsepower for around $40,000 is right in the bread and butter, in the sweet spot of the whole muscle car industry right now.
What is the warranty on these cars?
3 years, 36.
3 and 36, okay.
And
a quarter mile at a time. It'll last a little while.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because you mentioned this about consistency and learning. You hear all these features, and at first you think, oh, there's a bunch of nannies to help people get faster times. They actually are a really good tool to help the driver learn how to go faster.
And that's also supported by your non-street version Challengers that you sell, because when you look at some of the track events, and now they're doing a pure stock version of the Challenger in the NHRA. They have their own class where they race against the Mustangs, the Camaros, and the Challengers. And you guys have what's her name from Races for Prud'homme? The girl. Well, my brain just went empty. But and actually, she's been extremely successful. So you're actually bringing what you learn on the track to the street through your NHRA events with the Challenger too.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well,
and then I definitely want to get to a few other. There's a really cool power chiller too that we haven't talked about yet.
Let's do it. We got about 2 minutes to go.
All right, so this one's really cool. I can finally talk about it now for Charger. So we have it now for the Charger Red Eye for 21 model year. This first came out with the Demon, and it's the only kind of feature in the industry right now. But basically, in track mode on our Red Eye, so our Challenger Red Eye, our Charger Red Eye, and the Challenger Super Stock, we have a power chiller. So it basically takes your air conditioning, refrigerant, and coolant, cycles it through the radiator, cycles it through a chiller unit that's chilled by the air conditioner refrigerant, and then cycles it back into the supercharger coolant.
Oh my gosh! I don't have to pack it with dry ice anymore.
Yeah, it's a high-tech cool can.
Exactly. So we literally cool down the supercharger with the AC unit in track mode on the Red Eyes to get even more cooling and performance out of these 800 horsepower models.
Because the colder the air, the more dense it is, the more oxygen there's available. Throw fuel at it and make it go bang.
So what you're telling me here is that you've got some guys over there in the engineering department, the engine engineering department, that obviously have done some naughty things in their earlier life. I don't know, not necessarily the street, but certainly on the drag strip.
Oh yeah, and
oh yeah.
I mean, we're lucky. We're lucky. We get to work with the best engineers, and it's funny. Going to work is like it's just something that we love to do. We love working on these cars. We are car people, so it's just as much of a joy to make these cars and do these cool features and technology it is, to offer it even to the customer.
Well, Ashton, it's great to talk to you as always with Dodge, and we really appreciate all of the knowledge that you've brought to our show today, not only with the Dodge brand, but also with the performance pages and the Uconnect system. It's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again and talk to you again soon.
Anytime. Thank you guys very much for having us.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks.
We'll talk to you again soon. Time now for a Jeep Trails feature, In Wheel Time's weekly look into the world of Jeeping. And Mr. Mars has that for us.
Man, it's a tough act to follow him. So, one of the things that we were looking at with the Jeep lifestyle, it's all about the great outdoors and things like that. So people, now that we're in this kind of a pandemic thing, I've kind of noticed some people, they're taking advantage of that kind of quietly. But, you go to some of these campgrounds, you get into the outdoors, RVing, things like that. And one of the things you can do, if you go to Jeep.com and you go into Jeep lifestyle, and we've talked about this before, but there's a section there called the Badge of Honor. And it's really designed, they've laid out some tracks or some courses across the country that you can go, take your Jeep and go to. But you could also take it a step further. That could also be a guide. If you're wanting to go RVing and be in the outdoors with you and your family, kind of social distance, but still be out in the sunshine, you could use that as a guide, even if you're not full on into the Jeep off-roading.
Okay.
So Jeep.com, and it's called the Badge of Honor, and you can put the app on your phone.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, this week in automotive history and Inside the Mystery Garage, coming up next here on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's your All Things Automotive Weekly Car Talk Show. In Wheel Time, a reminder that we are live on the In Wheel Time website, on YouTube and Facebook each and every Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon Central Time. And we thank you for riding with us today. Time now for Inside the Mystery Garage, which, by the way, is that this area back here. Can you see it right back here? See, back here? That's the Mystery Garage. Okay, because we are in Studio A, which is actually sitting in front of the Mystery Garage. And today's Mystery Garage is a little bit something different, I thought that I would bring to you. Because, you know, we've always talked about redoing your garage. And I thought, well, you know, let's go a little different and fantasize just a moment. This is a real garage. Clearly, this man has means with which to outfit his garage.
Full of Ferraris.
And there's a glass partition. I don't know whether you can see it there, but there's a glass partition between the man cave, which is in the foreground here, and he obviously is a Ferrari man because you can see the Ferrari logo there on the cushions in the foreground. And there's a bar back there, and there's places to store your glasses and a nice refrigerator. And then you go back to the business part of it, if you really want to call it that, because he's got a elevator there for the red, see the red Ferrari that's facing away? That's an elevator. So it lowers down into the floor and allows for more space to have your mechanics to come in and work on the cars that you own.
Just a man of means. Well, he's got an Aston Martin sitting right there, that orange car. Yeah. That's pretty.
But you'll notice that where the red Ferrari is, in that cage-looking thing, that is an elevator. So imagine that lowers down into the floor and allows
to the other parking garage. That's the one where you just want to stash the trash and bring the pretty cars up top.
That's where the guys that are under your employ that take care of your cars, that's where they work on them. And when they finish them, they put them in the lift and bring them back up to the show level.
In the lift.
In the lift. I like that. Yes, well, you call it an elevator if you want to. But I have to tell you that there clearly are two doors that are inside the garage there. One in the back, in the very back of the wall. And there's another one over to the left-hand side that you can't see, where the other cars are parked over here. So there are multiple entrances and exits to the garage.
And I bet you this guy has most of his cars insured with Haggerty, right? Because Angelica just joined us online.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, no, they're not 20 years old, but they are collector cars. But I would imagine that insurance is probably not an issue for this man.
No.
Or woman. No. I don't know. It could be a woman. Instead of a man cave, it could be a woman cave.
A car cave.
A car cave, right. So invite the friends. A she shed. I like that. Cheryl's she shed.
That's right.
Well, that one burned down, remember? But at any rate, I just wanted to show you an example of how the other side can live.
That's a beautiful other side as well.
I want to remind you that if you're a member of a car, truck, or Jeep club, we'd love to put your bunch in our car club spotlight. And all you have to do is shoot us an email with the contact information to info@inwheeltime.com. We'll get that, and we'll put your bunch in the car club spotlight. Time now for This Week in Automotive History, and Conrad has that for us.
Well, in 1903, the first Ford Model A,
I remember that,
which was before the Model T, was delivered to Ernest Fenning of Chicago, Illinois, and we're going to bring that Model A back, which they only made for 2 years.
Any relationship to Ernest T?
Yes, Ernest T. But the Model A has a relationship with Dodge as well, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. In 1904, Louis Rigoli drove a 15-liter Brill car.
Brill.
In Belgium to over 100 miles an hour.
Is that where they got Brill cream from?
Brill cream. You don't need Brill cream. You need hair, Jeff. But can you imagine going 100 miles an hour in 1904 with those big, tall wheels and no seat belts and probably no windshield?
If I were
no
16 or 18, yes, I could.
And then also in 1911, General Motors organized GMC Truck Company to handle the sales of GM's Rapid and Reliance products. So GMC goes back that far. In 1941, the American automaker Henry Ford writes a letter to the Indian of India, Mahatma Gandhi, praising him on his civil disobedience aimed at forcing the British colonial government out of India. Henry Ford was quite a he had a very political position on a lot of things. Some things were agreed with by the American government.
So he's the one that's responsible for when I call Sears that I get somebody over there on the other end of the line.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In 1987, Enzo Ferrari commemorated Ferrari's 40th anniversary by unveiling the Ferrari F40, which was the first production car. It had a 2.9-liter turbo V8.
What's the significance of 40? Here we go with the 4s again, the 400, the 40.
Well, the 40 was his 40th anniversary of Ferrari.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, Ferrari started in 1947, and in 1987, that would be
40
years later. But that was also the first production car to break the 200-mile-an-hour barrier. And then in 1998, the US 500, the championship auto racing series, what is currently known as IndyCar, had a pretty tragic event where some spectators were killed in an event, and it brought more. Every time something like this happens, it brings more and more safety innovations to the automotive motorsports field, and that's when they really started putting the catch fences up much higher, threading the 1-inch cable through the catch fences. They leaned the catch fences over the racetrack again, so stuff wouldn't get off the car and up into the audience. And then the other thing is, now you look at a lot of these open-wheel racers, they actually tether components of the car so they don't release and get up into the audience. So even though it was a tragic situation, the outcome of it's been pretty good for the future.
Thank you, sir. This week's Auto News is next on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Stick with us.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Thanks for riding along. Time now for the stories making auto news headlines this week. And we start with great news. Tesla is the big winner in the sweepstakes. Texas
is the big winner.
In the sweepstakes to land Tesla's next Gigafactory. CEO Elon Musk, speaking on the company's second quarter earnings call Wednesday, said construction began this past weekend, a week ago, on the 2,000-acre site outside of Austin along the Colorado River that sits about 5 minutes away from the Austin airport. Musk said the location will be open to the public and is basically going to be an ecological paradise, no doubt. The site will build Tesla's Cybertruck pickup and semi-truck. Have you seen the semi-truck?
Mm-hmm.
Along with the Model 3 sedan and the Model Y crossover. Goodbye, California. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Stick your head in.
Doo-doo. Rivian said Friday he expects to begin delivering a battery electric pickup and battery electric SUV to customers starting in 1 year, next summer. The R1T pickup will arrive first in June. The R1S utility vehicle is scheduled to roll off the line in August of 2021. Rivian, backed by Ford, Cox Automotive, Amazon, and others, began assembling vehicles on a pilot production line this week.
And think about how many of those they're going to sell to Amazon to deliver to your house soon.
Yeah, like the next day. Order it online and we'll send it right over. No problem. No problem whatsoever. Well,
they'll be replacing all those Mercedes Sprinter vans with a Rivian.
Yep, exactly. Here's a Cadillac story that I know that I teased earlier when I went on a rant about the review of the CT6 that I
You're
had.
such a tease.
It's no coincidence that the names of two upcoming Cadillacs, the Lyric, Lyric, and that's spelled L-I, and I'm sorry, L-Y-R-I-Q, and the Celestique, C-E-L-E-S-T-I-Q, end with the same two letters. The brand plans to give all the vehicles in its pipeline names that end with IQ.
Finally, somebody at General Motors has an IQ. I worked there for 25 years, and I looked for them. I thought I was the only one there, along with a few friends of mine with an IQ at GM.
Why are they doing this? Because they are transitioning from internal combustion engines to
electric.
Full electric. God help us all. They're going to have to do something with the press fleet because I won't accept one that's got a 110-volt charger ever again in my entire life. Done with that. You're going to give me the card that I could take it up there to the Whole Foods market and plug it in. I'm not doing 10010 because it never charges.
But you'll be sitting out in front of Whole Foods for an hour and a half.
Well, I don't care about that.
That's next week's show.
Then it's a 30. 30 minutes is all I need.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that to look forward to.
IQ.
The IQ. You hear.
But will Don turn one down when they give him one to drive?
You hear about these grumpy old men. Well,
there's 3 of us sitting right here. 4 of us sitting right here.
You found one, and you're having to pull me through all of this. Okay, well that's it for this hour of In Wheel Time. We've got more of our show following this quick break.
A crying baby is impossible to ignore, but a quiet baby can be easy to forget. Every year, dozens of children lose their lives because otherwise attentive adults forgot they were in the back seat. It only takes a moment for a car to heat up to dangerous levels, even on cooler days. So get in the habit of always looking in the back seat and use reminders to ensure baby is always with you. Where's baby? Look before you lock. Paid for by NHTSA.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so stay a minimum of 6 feet away from others and stay home if you can. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, from Studio A in Texas, USA, it's hour number 2 of the All Things Automotive Car Talk Show in Wheel Time. Just ahead, we continue our Dodge Mopar show with a look at the history and a chat with the Houston Mopar Connection Car Club. In our new car showroom this hour is the 2020 Alfa Romeo Stelvio. We'll take you for a ride, and later our Ram Tracks feature along with the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, Don Armstrong here. So glad that you could join us. Yeah, it's a Mopar Dodge Day on this rainy Hurricane Hannah Day here in Houston, Texas. And
didn't you date somebody named Hurricane Hannah?
No, that was Jerry Reed. Yeah, down in the swamp. Remember that song?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's funny because when Mars said, well, we're going to do a crew talk about history and a little bit about Dodge and Mopar, we all gathered information, not knowing that the other one did, because I know how this works. And it would be my luck that I would come unprepared and we would have nothing. So I prepared.
Because there was no heads up that we were going to do this. It was just
it was a head up. It was a head up yesterday.
But not everybody read the email, apparently.
Yeah, no.
Well, this
or the
time
lack
we did.
thereof. That's how that works.
So what we're talking about?
We're not talking about it yet, but we're going to.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
So if you did not know, I mean, Dodge, we've been talking about the performance aspects, and they made a lot of commercials on TV. You've probably seen them, the Dodge brothers and everything. There really was two brothers that actually started the Dodge. They were. Mm-hmm. And, Dodge was established in 1914, but the two brothers, John and Horace, they were machinists. Their father was a machinist, their grandfather. So they came from this background. They started several companies, and looking at the history, it's really interesting to see how they intermingled with Ford. Mm-hmm. They were the ones that actually, their supply chain is actually what got Ford started.
Right.
They got him going.
They actually produced the chassis for the original Ford Model A to Ford, and all he did was threw a body
Put
on
a body
it
on it, and it evolved into the Model C and the Model F. And then later on, they had a bicycle business, and that's really kind of what got them to where they could get into the car business from a money perspective. And I found it really interesting that in their intermingling, the numbers fascinate me that here they are in 1920 working with Ford, and Ford owes them some money. So what's he do? He gives them 10% of his company. And they turn around and sell that a couple of years later for $25 million. This is in 1919.
And that doesn't count all of the dividends they had received prior to that. So that from that 10% they got, it ended up being like a total of $39 million.
Yeah, it was a monstrous number back then because that's big numbers even now. But that's really where they got the funds to go off and create their own vehicles. And unfortunately, though, as we were talking earlier, they went to the New York Auto Show. Big deal back then. It's a big deal now, but I mean, it was a really big deal back then.
It's not a big deal now because they canceled it.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Well, they canceled it because of a pandemic.
Go ahead.
I wonder what happened.
So in 1920, they went there, and they both got the flu. Now, unfortunately, one of them...
The Spanish flu, which was 100 years ago.
Which is the one that really wiped out everybody else, yeah. So it was really interesting, and one of them, actually, John, the oldest, died pretty quick. And then Horace was so sick he couldn't even go to the funeral, but he died less than 7 months later. He kind of never really got over the flu and the depression of losing his brother and everything. So, and they were both in their early 50s. And I just thought it was kind of fascinating the way the world, because then you start talking about how Chrysler and Oldsmobile and how they start supplying parts to both these other companies to help them get started.
Right.
So these guys were really a significant force in the automotive industry in the early days.
In launching the automotive industry,
yes.
yeah.
And you don't ever hear about that.
And by the way, as of July 16th of this year, Dodge's parent company, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, began merging, and thus its parent company being renamed Stellantis.
Yeah, spell that.
Okay.
Kind of like the Lyric and the other thing that Cadillac, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to talk about Mopar.
Yeah,
and Mopar was always a mystery to me. I never understood, where did the word Mopar come from? And I found out that it was actually first used in the 20s, and it was introduced as a brand starting in 1937. The name Mopar created by a committee to use on cans of Chrysler Motor Parts antifreeze, thus the name
Mopar.
Chrysler Mopar. Term thus become an inclusive word for any Chrysler-built vehicle. Most any Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth, Imperial, DeSoto, and Dodge trucks or Ram. Now, by extension, it also is used for Jeep and AMC vehicles built after Chrysler's 1987 buyout of American Motors Corporation, including the short-lived Eagle brand. There was one that I had.
I forgot
that
about
was because Chrysler had absorbed AMC.
Right.
And Eagle was I think of it as condensed milk, but it was actually a car.
Yeah, it was. I'll never forget going to the Houston Auto Show, and it was in the Astro Hall, and seeing it for the first time, and the stunning paint job on the car.
Well,
because it was all done by robots, which they didn't do. It was like one of the first robotic painted cars, and it's like, holy cow! Look at the paint job on that car, for what that's worth.
And it did so well, they're not around anymore.
So, well, here's the interesting thing, too. Mopar does not have a dedicated assembly line. There are 13 Mopar custom shops that install customer-chosen accessories on their vehicles before delivery. There are also limited edition Mopar versions of FCA vehicles. We've had some.
Right.
They are marketed featuring custom paint and equipped with numerous Mopar performance and cosmetic performance modifications. And so when you think of Mopar, the first thing that comes to my mind is blue stripes on a white car.
Yes.
Or something blue about it. And so you can buy Jeep Mopar editions. Same thing with Dodge. I don't know about Chrysler so much. Chrysler only's got one vehicle left.
Yeah, 300, I think.
What's going to happen to Chrysler?
Good question. Don't really know.
Because we thought for a while that the Lincoln Motor Company would go away because they had nothing. They sold nothing. The dealerships were folding right and left.
And now it's all SUVs and CUVs because the Lincoln Continental is a thing of the past as well. That's been canceled.
But Mike and I have driven the new Lincolns, the SUVs, and wow, are they nice.
Yeah, it's almost like, and I would think the same thing maybe here with Chrysler. It's a branding thing, you know. It's a heritage thing. They really don't want to get rid of the Chrysler nameplate, and I think they're going to figure out a way to keep it.
Right, because it's kind of the halo nameplate for the American brands under that under.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Chrysler
it goes
name.
all the way back to Walter Chrysler.
Wonder what they're going to do
and
with
all
it.
That. I don't know. I mean,
are they going to go after the Cadillac brand and go all electric and give it an all electric new moniker, if you will?
I haven't read anything about that.
I have not read a thing.
But that would make sense because Chrysler was always their Imperial but Chrysler was always their upper level platforms that they sold. You know, and you got to think, if you go back in time, let's go back to 1973 and the oil crisis and how that helped Chrysler, and bringing Lee Iacocca over from Ford helped Chrysler develop the K car, and then from the K car came the Dodge Caravan. And ultimately, the Dodge Caravan truly saved Chrysler's bacon into the 80s.
As a corporation.
Yeah, because it brought in a platform nobody else was doing, and it lit the market on fire.
So here's something to think about. So with the name change of the parent company going to Stellaris,
does that get Chrysler?
Well, there won't be an FCA because FCA is Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. There goes the Chrysler brand in America. Now, they say that they're going to continue all the monikers underneath the umbrella of FCA, which includes all of those in Europe and all of those here in the United States. But is it going to include Chrysler? Now, I would imagine that the Chrysler 300 goes down the same assembly line as the Dodge
Challenger,
those, yeah,
because I think they all come off the same platform.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the other things people don't recognize about the Dodge brand itself is how integrated Dodge was in our military. You know, back in World War I, Dodge developed their big trucks that were used as ambulances and troop transports and sold 18,000 of them to the U.S. military. In World War II, they kicked it up a bunch, and they actually built 400,000 Dodge trucks from the big 6x6s, you know, and the ambulances that they sold. They also sold 8,000 touring cars and 6,000 commercial vehicles that went into our military. So they ended up supporting the U.S. military effort through World War I with some iconic vehicles. And I know John Hovis has one of those out there at the Hemi Hideout that's a 999 point, you know.
It's an incredible, I don't know, is it a 19?
Power wagon.
I know it's a power wagon. Was it in the 40s?
I think it's a 47.
Yeah, something
if I
like
remember
that.
correct.
It
it's
is
a 47.
absolutely beautiful.
But, you know, how integrated Dodge was in our military, and that was because of the dependability of the vehicle that they had in the military. You had to have something you could climb in and move on, and if it needed repairs, it had to be relatively easy to fix.
You know, Jeff
as well.
just put up a question mark. Did they make engines for the military? And yes, they did. As a matter of fact, I know that you have been or did go to the Chrysler Museum there on FCA property, and they displayed an engine. It was a tank engine. This thing was at least 6 feet tall, and it was actually fitted into a tank at one time. This thing was massive. It was almost as big as the studio here, and they had it on display in the museum. That's now turned into office space. But
it was a V12 hemispherical combustion chamber that fit into the M47 Patton tank, which was after World War II, but still. And that was where Chrysler and Dodge began to develop the Hemi engine, was coming out of the military, because they also played around with the P-47 Thunderbolt and built a V16 engine in that airplane, except it was upside down. The V was down, and it also had hemispherical combustion chambers, and that's where they brought that technology to the automotive field, because Dodge first introduced the Hemi, called the Red Ram, in 1953. So in 1953, the Hemi was very small. I think it was like 270 some odd cubic inches. And then over the years, it developed a larger cubic inches until in the late 50s, it was 392, which is why they go with a 392 today as their performance engine. And that 392 in that Dodge back in 1958, you could actually order it with a fuel injection system on it.
Well, I have to tell you that when I think of the Dodge brand, the first thing that comes to my mind is Don Garlett's.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, Swamp Rat. Because they were all fitted with Hemi engines.
Yep. 426s and up.
Yeah, and today's 500 cubic inch top fuel engine is basically based on
the Hemi.
The Hemi, and it's made by, well, it's all aluminum block, and all of the engines are basically the same now, but it still has the hemispherical heads and
same
based
basic
on that,
design.
Same basic design.
And that Hemi we think of in the muscle car genre was only sold from 1966 through 1971. It was only sold for 5 or 6 years, but it made such an impact on the muscle cars, on NASCAR racing, on drag racing, on boat racing, because they use a lot of them in boats and stuff. But the Hemi goes back almost 15 years before that, back into the 50s as they developed it. And it took a little hiatus from 58 to 66 when it came back in production. And then it took another hiatus from 72 until it came back in production in 2003.
What was the guy's name that said,
"It's got a Hemi in it"?
Remember
those
that?
commercials? Yeah, that
What was
thing got a Hemi in it.
Buford T. Justice?
No, but it's close. And so there's your research to do. What was the actor's name that did the sheriff? Yeah, I know you're going to look
when he pulled the kid over driving the. I don't remember.
Got a Hemi in it.
Yeah, was it super big?
Right, and the guy had those great big glasses. Yeah, yeah. So the Mopar connection. If you remember correctly, there was an advertising campaign that it was the Mopar Dodge connection, the connection part of it. And I have to ask our bottom of the hour guest, is that where you got the name?
Oh, yeah.
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 Well, you got to think.
But that was back whenever we were kind of coming up in the late 60s, early 70s and stuff, whenever that Mopar connection, you could literally go to a Dodge dealer that was they handled the Mopar, and you could walk in there and you could buy camshafts. You could piece together an entire 426 Hemi, even though it wasn't offered from production. You couldn't buy one new, but you could buy all the pieces at the time to assemble one in your garage. I mean, it was great.
Needed a big garage because they called that the elephant motor.
Yeah.
Well, and then in 2012, Mopar came out with the Redline crate engine. So you could buy a fully functional 426 Hemi engine that was rated at 590 horsepower, showed up in a box, and you go figure out what to put it in, and it came with the full fuel injection system on it and a plug-and-play computer. So, Mopar has seen the value in delivering performance to the customers over the counter as well as through the dealerships as accessory items added to the vehicle.
Yeah, it's got a long, storied history and all of it good. Okay. Hey, be sure and stay in touch with us all week long by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and through our website, InWheelTime.com. Each and every week, we invite you to join us for our live 2-hour show, 10 a.m. to noon Central. And we've got more of our show, the In Wheel Time Car Show, after this quick break.
As America gets back on the road, a lot of things have changed, but not the need for drivers to be safe. With that in mind, it's time to review our safe driving checklist. First, you're in your car.
Check.
You're sober.
Check.
You're wearing your seatbelt.
Check.
Your phone is put away.
Check.
Great. Make sure you follow the speed limit. And remember, law enforcement is enforcing traffic safety laws in our community to save lives. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is Houston's most in-depth car show, In Wheel Time, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts of the show available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. I like that. Time now for our car review this hour. Mr. Mars has the Alfa Romeo Stelvio.
the TI Sport all-wheel drive Stelvio to be exact. Now, this is, it's an Italian.
Did you say He said. He's
what?
He said an Italian. I think that's notable. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. That's
He's
East
from
Texas.
Beaumont.
Yeah, that's
My
right.
God.
All right, so we're talking about what is technically a compact sport utility, but if you really look at this, it could be better designed or described as a small luxury SUV. And it has a lot of attributes. It shares a platform with the Giulia, particularly the Giulia Sport. You can get it in 4 trim levels. You can get the rear-wheel drive, the all-wheel drive, or you can get the TI all-wheel drive, which is what we had, or you can have the Quadrifoglio, or however you say it.
That's Quadrifoglio or Foglio.
Yeah, I always have trouble with that one.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at this vehicle up front, you're going to see that it's got this really dark V grille, and it's kind of small right there in the center of it. And in our vehicle, it was surrounded by an alpha white paint. And it really stood out a whole lot more than it normally does. So you get this black and white contrast going in there. We had the power folding side mirrors. We had black roof rails and black window trim that really stood out, again, on this white paint combination. And we had the power lift gate. We were rolling on the 20 by 8.5-inch wheels. Now, these had red calipers with white lettering on it. So, again, this black-white with the red trim on it just really made, to me,
It looked good.
It looked good. It was a nice, sporty look, particularly when you're talking about an SUV. Now, you get inside of it, you get into the seating. It's got the kind of sculpted seatings, and the leather's a little stiff. It's not real soft, pliable leather like you might see in a top-end luxury vehicle.
That's an Italian thing.
It is. It is. It really is. And they consider it the sport leather. And the front seats have got, they're power adjustable, but they also had the power adjustable bolsters. And I thought that was kind of cool because you could really kind of tighten it up, again, trying to get that driving experience.
Keep you in place.
Because of the platform.
Right.
Exactly. And so it has a lot of nice aluminum interior trim in it. We had the 7-inch TFT color display that used to be called a gauge package, but it is what it is now. We had the 8.8-inch touchscreen in the center stack. That's where we're going to find all the convenience controls, the audio, your rear view camera, things like that. We had the dual-pane sunroof, and it had a really cool 14-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system in it that would really
jam the Jimmy Buffett.
It would jam it up and fill it up. But it's got that real nice sloping roof line to it because a lot of the new SUVs, the smaller ones, it's almost like they're going to a hatchback, but It's not really a hatchback. It's not really a fastback, but it to me it kind of reduces your line of sight, So it's a good thing you got plenty of technology to help you see what's over there on the other side of you. Now under the hood we had the 2.0 liter inline-4 turbo, 280 horsepower at 5,200 RPM. So you got to wind it up a little bit, but with the 8-speed automatic, it really wasn't a problem. You didn't feel any turbo lag. And with that transmission that FCA uses a lot of their vehicles, it was really a nice combination for driving. The city, the EPA says you should be looking for about 22, Highway 28, combined about 24. I got 23 in the 400 miles that I put on this vehicle. Now, it does, it is an SUV, but to me, it's the SUV for somebody that's seeking a driving experience. And I think that comes with the platform being there with the Giulia Sport because the way the suspension and the drive modes and stuff that you can set on it, it's not going to give you a sports car, but it is going to give you a feel of driving something. It's not just your mother-in-law's car.
And it's gorgeous.
It looks good, and by the time you put in the carbon fiber, and particularly I liked the black and white combination on the outside. It's just very striking. Now, if you're looking for something you want to compare it to, you might look at the BMW X3, which is going to start at around $41,950. Maybe the Mercedes-Benz GLC that starts at $42,500, or even the Acura RDX that starts down around $37,800. But you can get a base Stelvio, bottom line, for $41,400. Now, the base TI model that we were started with is $45,800. Had a couple of options on it.
Just a few.
Just a few. So the MSRP as tested was $59,745. For this vehicle. Had lots of nice options on it.
That Italian vehicle.
That Italian vehicle.
But the interior was stunning. It had the panache. When you looked at the inside of that vehicle, that said, that is a gorgeous interior. It really caught your attention with the style, with the shapes, with the color.
Well, and the color, it was that red. Again, you had a little bit of the red on the outside, but it was that red. It wasn't that GM put a blood red or whatever you want to call it in a Corvette, and it was just, to me, it was just
I don't think they
red
called
everywhere.
it a blood red, but
well,
whatever the
A
case
darker
may be.
red. This
And
was
this
a brighter.
red really looked good.
And
though.
by the way, the Alfa Romeo grill is called a Scudetto.
Scudetto grill.
It's called a Scudetto, which means little shield.
Don has got all these new words today.
I know.
The names of the Cadillacs.
He's
the
over there
names of
Googling because I don't
I've
remember
been
seeing,
going to school.
I don't remember seeing Scudetto. Scudetto? Scudetto.
Scudetto.
Italian.
Scudetto.
It's Italian.
Yeah. What he said.
You're listening to All Things Automotive here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Up next, the events calendar and a rant on the Craftsman torque wrench.
Hang tight.
Stand by.
There's no greater pain a parent can suffer than losing a child. And yet, heat stroke deaths in hot cars are on the rise. The temperature inside a vehicle can reach deadly levels in just a few minutes. Leaving windows cracked does not help. These preventable deaths can occur even when the outside temperature is as low as 57 degrees. Never leave your baby or child in a vehicle, even for a short period, and always check the back seat before you get out of the car. Where's baby? Look before you lock. Paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so we should all stay home to lower the risk for everyone. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I like this.
Do you?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a little xylophone thing, I think, going on there from the old band days.
Herbie Hancockish.
Kind of, yeah. It is nice. Everybody's staying in. It's raining, so go ahead.
Well, and while it's raining, that's going to have a bit of an effect on the events calendar.
You think?
Yeah.
Please be my guest.
So this is an off weekend for Nifty 50s. They come back next weekend. Tice Motorsports is supposed to have their Twilight show up off of Kirkton tonight at 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Check with them to see whether or not that's going to go. Galveston Cherry Hill Cruise was supposed to go today, meeting at Buc-ee's and Katy at 4.
Why are we even doing this? That ain't happening.
Well, they might take the cruise. I don't think it would be wise, but they might.
The wipers don't work.
But if you go further east, Nederland is going to have a truck and car show today, sponsored by the C10 Soul Group at 5 p.m.
Well, boats are welcome.
And then also the monthly cruise in Santa Fe and the Kima Car Meet. Whether all those go on, depending on the weather, they probably won't. Tomorrow, HPD and Troy Dixon are going to have their Twin Peaks meet at in the Woodlands. Starts at 11 and goes till 3. The 8th annual Lone Star Deluxe Hot Rod Show and Music Festival in downtown Texas City at the Showboat Pavilion.
Oh, hot diggity dog.
Wednesday, Freddy's on Katy Road, Katy in Fry Road, and Friday is going to be...
You're not leaving me enough time to do my rant.
Never mind. Go ahead. You're on. I'm done.
Okay. So...
Rant on.
Here is the subject involved in today's rant. It's called a torque wrench with a half-inch drive. This torque wrench was purchased approximately 20 to 30 years ago by me for a healthy sum of money from the Sears store.
Craftsman.
Located in the west... The shop, the mall that's not there anymore, West Oaks. Is it West Oaks? No, it was the mall there at Bissonnette and 59. Anyway, it was the Sears store. So I purchased it there, proud owner, used it, I don't know, maybe a dozen times, basically torquing down lug nuts on
Doing
aluminum
the right
wheels.
thing.
Doing the right thing. So as you can see here, it no longer locks in, either going forward or reverse, right, that you would expect it to do, right? So it's broken. It doesn't work anymore. So there's a model number that's here, and the actual serial number is located here. So I call a toll-free number to get a case number, okay? Clearly, Sears is out of business, so some other...
But Craftsman were sold.
A company called Transform Co. is now handling warranty claims.
Or
now,
denying
this was, you've got to let me talk. So this was a lifetime warranty. No, apparently it's not. So I contact Transform Co. They give me a case number 681-8080, and they say, take a picture. Okay? So I take, as you can see here, I take 3 pictures of the serial number, the model number, and the whole thing. And they say, okay, great, thank you so much. Thank you for contacting Sears. We need preferred email, give them that, the model number. Here's the response. Thank you for contacting Sears. Thank you for sending us the pictures and for allowing us the opportunity to assist you with your recent experience. This woman probably weighs about, 300 pounds, and she's 60 years old. And she has been doing this job for at least 50 years and is a former Sears employee down there at West Oaks Mall. I got this vision in my head with a bun back here. Like the woman that you always used to get sent to in high school. Remember that when you got in trouble and she would, chew you out? Unfortunately, we're unable to process your request at this time. Please accept our sincerest apologies for the delay. Please see below for the reason for the delay. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us at the number below or email. Reason for processing delay, more information needed. Information needed, a clear copy of your purchase receipt. Do you save 25-year-old receipts? Do you? Nope. Do you? I don't. I have no receipt. It's a lifetime warranty. Here's the receipt. Here's what I bought. It's been in that toolbox all these years. It doesn't work. Give me another wrench.
And the thing with Craftsman were you could go into any Sears store, hand them the broken one, they'd hand you a brand new one, and off you'd go. Well, with Sears out of business, they've changed the process.
Torque wrenches. For 1 year from the date of sale, the product is warranted against defects in material or workmanship. Certain exclusions. The warranty applies for only 90 days from the date of sale of this product is ever used while providing commercial services or if rented to another person. What? So if you got a problem with it, send us. I sent them an ugly email because I know what's going to happen. Sorry, we're not going to give it to you. But I did find out that if you do get a refund, because you don't mail this back anymore. If you do get a refund, they give it to you in a gift card. Really?
To buy more of their product at the original purchase price of that.
Yeah.
Of that torque wrench.
25 years ago. So you know what I got to say to you, Sears? Up yours. Don't buy Sears Craftsman. Thank you for playing the game.
Can anybody buy Sears Craftsman?
Yes, they still sell Craftsman products.
If don't buy it. If you buy anything, buy Chinese, but don't buy Craftsman. Well, you're buying Chinese, so never mind.
Send your comments to info@inwheeltime.com.
Charles Williams with the Houston Mopar Connection Club is next on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
Do you know what teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at texastruckworks.com. You know, I knew that there would be a point where the car show went right down the toilet, and I think that it's happened. Welcome to In Wheel Time, your weekly award-winning live rant car talk show. Just ahead, we continue Dodge Day with the local Mopar Club. We'll have our Ram Tracks feature, Conrad's Car Clinic, and today's auto news. Just ahead in this segment of the In Wheel Time car show. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars. Italian, and King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong.
The angry senior citizen.
God. So, at any rate,
what a great lead-in for this guy.
It is, so
Sorry, Charles.
It'll give me a chance to calm down while you guys do the interview with Charles, and his name is Charles Williams, and he is with the Houston Mopar Connection Car Club, and he's sideways, kind of like I got with Sears and Craftsman. Charles, we don't know how to fix you sideways, but instead of looking at you it's just
there you go. There you go.
do it that way. There you go. We don't know exactly why you're sideways, but you are. But we don't care about that.
There you go.
Well, you could just rotate the phone, but that's okay. This works.
Apparently, he did that. So, Charles, it's great to talk to you. Houston Mopar Connection. I don't know whether you heard our show a little bit earlier, but they did reference the connection part because there was a Mopar connection. Actually, it was a media thing,
right,
and advertising,
tying all the performance cars together.
And so I assume that somewhere back in the past that it has that connection, and if it doesn't, we just gave it that. So Charles, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being with us today. So tell us a little bit about the Houston Mopar Connection Car Club.
Well, actually, it started back right at 1983. A group of individuals decided that they just wanted to start a little club and just share information of the cars that they had, and eventually it moved on. They did show and races, started about 1989. They did that for about 15 years at the racetrack out there. They did pretty good, made a lot of money, but it cost a lot of money because they were making money for charities. We are really big in Star of Hope, DePelchin, Shriners, Star of Hope, and the food bank.
So tell me about the cars that are in the car club. I mean, do they date back to the 50s, the 60s, or are they mostly new cars?
Actually, we've got some early 50 cars. In fact, I'm sitting in a 1953 Willys Aero Eagle car.
Willys.
Now you say Willys.
Yes.
Now, is that part of Mopar?
Is it?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yes. Willys, real quick. Willys started making cars in 1903. They made them up to 1941 was their most famous gasser cars.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, we've lost your volume.
No, we lost the internet.
Production line, and they made the Willys Aero car. This particular one was made in 1953. My mother saw it come off a transport down there, close to where the Astrodome is now. She walked over there during lunch, looked at it, talked to my dad, bought it the next day.
That car.
So this car I'm sitting in right now.
How cool is that?
Well, it's my first ride when I came home from the hospital. It was my first car ride in this car.
So we talk about the Mopar connection. I guess you definitely have it with that car. At least you weren't born in the car.
No, I wasn't born, but there's other stories. But
no time. We don't want that.
It's a different show. Different show.
Different show.
Yeah, that's our nighttime show.
It's a wonderful little car. I had it at Autorama last year or year before last, and it actually came second place in its class. It's a nice little car. 3 on a tree, electric overdrive, 161 cubic inch motor. I mean, 4 people can actually sit in this front seat. It's just a nice little car. Rolls down the road like a Cadillac.
No doubt.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so all I can think of is I just got through reading a Checker Marathon story about the history of the Checker Marathon, and I don't know what you think of them, but I mean, it's kind of similar in the style and the entire structure of the car. The interior is big.
A people mover.
It's a people mover, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This was built back when the families were starting to get bigger. So of course, the safety features. This is a steel dash on this car. So kids rode in the back seat. So that's
unbuckled because they didn't have seatbelts back then.
There was no seatbelts in this car.
How many people are in the Mopar Connection Car Club?
I think right now we have about 65 to 70.
Yeah, and how many cars does that represent? About 30 or so?
Probably 120.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. Hey,
Because
apparently
there are multiple cars within a select family.
Well, actually, to my right is a 67 Dodge Charger. To my left is a 73 Cuda.
Are you sitting in the garage of your house?
Just a little bit. And I got a 68 Roadrunner.
Yeah. So you obviously are in the garage
there's
today.
4 of them right there.
There's 4 of them.
We can assume that you're friends with John Hovis and the folks out at Hemi Hideout.
Oh, wonderful man.
Isn't he?
And I'll tell you what, if you ever been there, it's wonderful. If you get a chance, go.
Well,
it's Mopar heaven.
Yeah, I got to wait till they reopen after all of this mess that's going on. But it's truly a automotive bucket list place to visit.
Now, y'all got a couple of events y'all do, too.
Yes.
One in particular.
Well, we do. We was doing the show and race until about 2004. And then another company took it over. It was like we weren't making any money. And so we started up 13 years ago, the Halloween Classic Car Show. It's over there at the National Museum of Funeral History. It is a wonderful show.
Which is right off of I-45 in Airtex, I believe.
Yes, it is. It's on the north side.
Yep.
We get about 180 to 100 to 190 cars.
Wow.
But the people dress up. They dress up their cars. We have a haunted house. It's PG-13, but I have stuff in there that moves around.
Well, Charles,
So
I hate to
it's
tell you
really
this,
cool.
but I dress up every day. So going up there to the Halloween car show.
All Don needs is an excuse to dress up.
And to put my pumps on.
And Ray will come out.
I'm thinking that we need to be up there for the Halloween show. When is it? Don't tell me it's on Halloween night.
October 31st.
It is on Halloween night. How fun.
Actually, it's during the day.
It's during the day.
It's a day show.
Okay.
Bar this COVID thing, we're moving forward to have it. What happened a couple of years ago, it was bad weather. So the car show was supposed to be on a particular Saturday, and I had to cancel it the next Saturday, had to cancel it, moved it to a week before Easter, and we called it Easter Ween.
Easter Ween. Oh, how fun. Yeah, absolutely. Well, for everybody that doesn't know, Halloween this year is going to be on a Saturday.
Yes.
Yes. We're looking forward to it. I'm moving forward with the show. It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. And then we give money to the charities, and they really, really are going to need it this year. It's really tough for people.
Well, I have to tell you that I think that we're all trying to get into some sort of a social rhythm these days, and it would not surprise me that we would be able to have an actual outdoor car event, social distancing and masks, and I think that we got us a show.
Well, I mean, figure it's going to be Halloween. You're going to be wearing masks anyway, so you might as well just have the right ones.
Absolutely. Well, how do we get a hold of the Houston Mopar Connection Car Club?
Actually, you just look it up, and on the internet, is if you just type in Houston Mopar, we're about the first one that pops up. And then if you want my email address, I can give it out right now.
Please do.
It is Halloween Car Show at yahoo.com.
Halloween Car Show at yahoo.com.
I can remember that.
Hey, even I can remember that. Charles, it is great to talk to you. Thank you so much. We love your classic car that you're sitting in the garage and all the Mopars that you got around you. Thank you so much. Let's stay in touch and look forward to seeing you at Halloween.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
You do the same. We appreciate it. All right,
cool.
Time now for our Ram Tracks feature in Wheel Time's Weekly Look into the Ram Nation. Mr. Mars has that for us.
So we've been talking about storage. We talked about towing capacity. But one thing I wanted to remind everybody about engines. You know, you got 3 different powertrain options in the Ram 1500 in regards to different levels depending on what you're going to do. You're going to tow a big load. You're going to haul a big load, whatever. You can start it. You can get a 3.0-liter EcoDiesel V6. It's going to give you 260 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. Newton meters. And so, or you can step up to, if you're more into the gasoline, 3.6 liter V6, which is the rock solid engine that FCA has got everywhere.
Everything, yeah.
Works everything fine. 305 horsepower, 269 pound-feet of torque. But you can really step up to the 5.7 liter Hemi V8. Now, this is the legendary. We've been talking about it. You can get it with 395 horses and 410 pound-feet of torque. So that's where you start getting into those tow levels and stuff that we've been talking about when you're talking about the large RVs or a heavier load without stepping up to a 3/4 ton. So that's the power 3 things you need to look at when you're talking about towing and you're looking for your new truck.
Thank you, sir. Time now for a quick break. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. We are All Things Automotive. Our live broadcast available 10 a.m. to noon Central Time every Saturday before all the good stuff gets edited out. Conrad has his car clinic coming up next.
Dude, you may want to slow down. There's a cop car up there. Hey, man, there's another cop. I'd think about putting your seatbelt on if I were you. And if you could sober up in less than 5 seconds, that'd be cool, too.
As America gets back on the road, a lot of things have changed, but not the need for drivers to be safe. Cops are enforcing traffic safety laws in our community to save lives. Paid for by NHTSA.
Welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. If you'd like to get in touch with us here at In Wheel Time, shoot us an email. The address info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. Today, focusing on cars and vermin. And I'll let him go ahead and tell you why.
Some time ago, Don's Corvette out there, the 2001 Corvette, that kind of sits parked most of the time. The air conditioning system stopped working effectively. And we took it to a friend of mine, James Bragg, who got a chance to look at it and come to find out that Don didn't have any snakes under the hood, but Don did have some rodents had been eating some of the vacuum hoses.
Squirrel, to be exact.
Squirrel, vermin, whatever you want to call them. But not only the vacuum hoses, the further we got into it, the more we saw that they were also eating the wiring harness. Now, Don originally had noticed it because they were storing acorns underneath the hood, and he put some mothballs in there to try and chase them away.
And that did work.
But they had already done some damage, I think, and that damage, you can see some of these pictures as to how that damage plays out when you're dealing with vermin underneath the hood of the car. Now, one of the things to know is these rodents, their front teeth are continuously growing, so they're always looking to chew on something to wear their teeth down. Otherwise, they end up looking like a walrus. And what they chew on tends to be some of the wiring and plastic inside the car.
Plastic components and stuff. Something soft, but still
Well,
firm.
it's soft, but some of the reason for it is, farmers always knew that you had to deal with mice eating wires underneath the hood of the car, and they did a few things. But what happened in the 80s and the 90s is some of the sheathing, the insulating wires that the manufacturers have switched to, they've switched the material, and they've gone to a soy-based as well as rice husks, some peanut oil-based products.
Yummy.
Exactly, that they use to coat these and insulate these wires. And the reason for that is they want them to be more biodegradable over time.
Right.
So with that, as they warm up, that aroma is expelled by those wire harnesses, so that attracts the vermin in there who start chewing on it. And that's exactly the problem, whether it's vacuum hoses or electrical wires. In Don's case, it was a vacuum hose that caused his
And it wasn't a
air
hose,
conditioning.
a traditional hose that you would think. It was a small, that was almost the diameter of one of those wires.
Right. But
it was
hard
a teeny,
piece of plastic.
It was a hard piece of plastic, and it was tiny. And it was in with the wire bundle. It was the only,
really?
It was in with the wire bundle because it was the size of the wires. Why
Oh,
not?
darn.
And it had chewed a section off that was so long that we couldn't find out where it went. I had to take the car back to James.
It was tasty.
I had to take the car back to James. He had to pull the wheel off and the wheel well housing out and get to an area where this vacuum line went into that little ball canister that sat underneath the battery of this car. And the only way to get to it was the way I
Open
just
it up,
mentioned
right.
it. Yeah.
Huh.
And once he got in there, he found an entire nest with more acorns and stuff in there.
And, everybody thinks, well, why don't manufacturers do something about this? It's a little hard to do because it's been going on for years. Actually, Toyota is facing a class action lawsuit in Florida about this from them not disclosing that some of their wires are attracting vermin to come in and eat. So that's going to play its way out. That is sometimes billable to your comprehensive insurance if you're carrying comprehensive insurance on your vehicle. So there's another way to possibly get it paid for. But, what do you do about it? What are some of the deterrents that you can do and keep the vermin out? Mothballs is something I've used for years, and you can buy the mothballs. They come in these little packets now, and you can set them in certain places in the car. You can buy what's called a bitter apple spray at most pet stores. You can use peppermint oil, powdered fox urine that you could buy at
that's my
Bass
choice.
Pro.
Powdered fox urine.
Used cat litter, but I don't think I'd use.
Wait just a minute. So I want to explore this used fox. So
No, he
what
didn't
do you
say used?
Well, it's
the powdered fox urine.
So where do they get that from?
Bass Pro Shops.
No. But where do they get that from?
Yeah, nice try. You tried to dodge it.
Bass Pro Shops. Jeff says Irish Spring soap. I've never used Irish Spring soap, but that would probably smell better than powdered fox urine. What I've used through the years, is go buy some hot sauce and mix it with some vinegar and just go in there with a bottle spray and spray. First time they bite it, they go the other way and they're not going to come back.
Well, James mentioned to me, he said, just go buy some rat poison. The little blocks of rat poison. The only problem with that is that many times they'll wind up dying there, and you'll wind
with
up
a smell and an electrical problem.
Yeah.
Well, and then you can always go back to the perfect mousetrap, the snap bait.
And that's what I plan on doing, putting it underneath there, because the squirrel is actually getting up into the engine compartment. I just put some rat traps down there.
And sometimes they come when you park the car. They're looking for a warm place to hang out. I don't know why you need a warm place to hang out in Houston in the summer, but
well, not now, because this all happened in the fall with the first cold snap.
And your first indication was you saw that they were storing all the acorns and stuff.
Yeah, on the top of the engine.
Right.
They had to get the vacuum out.
So there are things you can do, but boy, if you don't do it, it can be very, very expensive to fix.
And I'm here to tell you about that. Hey, reminder, if you belong to a car, truck, or Jeep club, we'd love to feature your group here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Just send us the info and contact information to info@inwheeltime.com, and we'll put your bunch in our car club spotlight. Today's automotive news is next here on In Wheel Time.
Oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You know, we have to give a shout out to my dear friend George Skelton, who I've known since grade school. So, howdy, George, and thank you for the comments. What were those comments again?
Oh, George says Don's had a tough week with squirrels, torque wrenches, sears, not to mention COVID and a tropical storm.
No, it's a hurricane.
Yeah, it's a hurricane now.
It's a hurricane now.
And it's coming your way, George.
We're
right.
We're sending it up north. No, it's not. It's going into Mexico.
No, is it going further south? I knew it was.
Well, it's going more
Corpus
west.
Christi, yeah.
It's going to go. Yeah. Anyway, time now for today's automotive news. Stories making news headlines this week. Ford Mach-E prototype.
Did you see the video of this one?
I did not. Automaker unwrapped a one-off racing prototype called the Mustang Mach-E 1400. There we go with the 400 thing again.
No.
Featuring 7 motors and 1,400 peak horsepower.
At the hit of the throttle.
The vehicle, not intended for production, comes on the heels of a Cobra Jet 1400 electric prototype released this year. Ford plans to use the Mach-E 1400 as an example of what an electric vehicle can do on the track as it tries to build excitement for the launch of the Mach-E crossover this year. Prototype comes with 3 motors attached to the front differential and 4 attached to the rear. Ford says the design lends itself to drifting or high-speed racing. Ford did not disclose top horsepower or torque figures. And if you want to see a picture of this thing, that's from Automotive News. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but it's pretty bad to the bone.
They have a YouTube video up that's showing it drifting and doing a smoke show.
I'm sure. Well, you know the factory can do just about anything. They could put rockets on it, and everybody would look at it.
No, that was NBC News on the Chevy pickup trucks with the gas tank fires.
Gas tank fire. AutoNation plans to spend $200 million or $220 million to build 20 or more used vehicle-only AutoNation USA stores over the next 3 years.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 of them in Houston. There's one
already.
There's one. Well, they've been there for some time. There's one on 45 North, just north of the Shepherd Curve, and then there's another one out in Katy.
Okay. New consumer survey. I love these surveys. I don't participate in them. I used to, but I don't anymore. I don't have time for that. But I like to find out what everybody else is thinking. New consumer survey found that fewer customers plan to delay a vehicle purchase than did earlier this year, but affordability is a concern because nobody's working.
Nobody's working, right?
Yeah. The results out this week indicate the ways in which the coronavirus has affected consumers' vehicle purchase decisions. While fewer of them said they're planning to wait, 69% said they had delayed a purchase as of June, compared with 79% in an earlier survey in April. That's still more than 2/3 of consumers Car Gurus surveyed last month. A Cox Automotive study released last week found that 70% of consumers are extremely or very concerned about the virus. Well, hello. More than 40% of consumers who plan to delay their purchase said it is a scary time to make vehicle purchases. Jonathan Smoke, like his last name, Cox's chief economist, he's an economist, a bean counter, said in a video posted Tuesday that the dealership technology companies Auto Trader and Kelley Blue Book shopping brands still are generating more leads than a year ago, but at a slower pace. Car Gurus polled 779 shoppers in June, following an April survey of 722 vehicle shoppers.
And then if you drive around the city and you look, these dealerships are running out of trucks. You know, their inventory is low because people have been out buying. Some of it driven by the huge incentives that they were offering, but now the inventory is not catching up because they were out of production for a period of time.
Carlos Ghosn.
He's still in the news.
Still. Well, it's a little bit more than that. It's family oriented these days. Remember I told you about his daughter?
Yeah.
Well, Carlos Ghosn's son made about $500,000 in cryptocurrency payments to one of the 2 American men accused of helping the former Nissan Motor Company chairman escape criminal charges in Japan, according to U.S. prosecutors. Anthony Ghosn made the payments to Peter Taylor via the cryptocurrency platform Coinbase after the auto executive escaped in a box smuggled aboard a private plane in December. Prosecutors said in a court filing on Wednesday.
Was
together,
it a coin box?
Funny. Together with an earlier wire transfer, Taylor and his father, ex-Green Beret Michael Taylor, received at least a combined $1.36 million from the Ghosn family, government records show. Carlos, who fled to Lebanon, has claimed his family played no part in his escape from Japan, where he faced charges of financial misconduct. But
I want to see the movie.
Prosecutors in the U.S., it's still developing. Prosecutors in the U.S. and Japan have gathered evidence indicating his son and one daughter, Maya, played some role in the operation. The Taylors were arrested by U.S. authorities in May at the request of the Japanese government, which is seeking to extradite them. No one in Ghosn's family has been charged with aiding the escape yet.
Yeah, but they can't find them.
They can't find them.
They're all boxed up somewhere.
In some sort of drum kit box, I'm sure.
Boom-ching.
At least they were on a private plane.
So I wanted to share with everybody what we've got planned for next week.
Yeehaw.
Next week, we're going to do an EV show.
Yes,
I know.
Yes.
Mars is all excited about it. I'm as excited as watching the paint dry over here. I don't like EVs. I've had some very bad experiences with them.
We're going to change your mind next week.
No, you're not, but you can try. And we're going to explain to everybody why Don Armstrong doesn't like EVs.
Don needs range Xanax to deal with his anxiety.
Did they make that? Yes, I'll take a script for that. So it's all going to be about EVs, including the president of the, are you ready, sitting down, of the Electric Drag Racing Association. We got reviews of the Ram 2500 Power Wagon and the BMW X6 X-Drive, which is the four-wheel drive.
You had mentioned Don Garlitz not that long ago. Don Garlitz is trying to get an EV over 300 miles an hour in his latest version of the Swamp Rat.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, that's right. I heard that. And so
I called him. He was busy. He couldn't do it next Saturday, but he said he'd schedule with us at another day.
Oh, really? Who said that?
Don Garlitz.
Whoever answered the phone.
Oh, you didn't call down there, did you?
Ocala, Florida.
I tried.
Don Garlitz.
You actually tried?
Yes. Yeah, I knocked on the door once when I was there in the neighborhood.
Oh, my gosh. Sometimes you amaze me. And if you're wondering what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to find today's clothes, and it's stuck to the back of another day.
It would always be the last
That's
page.
it for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on Facebook, please give us a like and watch our show over and over again. You'll also get Conrad's Unicorn Hunting features, along with all things automotive. If you missed a show or even a little chunk of it, you can always find it online, our website, inwheeltime.com, and YouTube. Podcasts of the show available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. The guy wearing the skirt today is our video technical director and sales expert, Jeff Zekin. You ought to see that.
That's a kill.
Special thanks to all of our guests today. For Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Thank you for following the In Wheel Time Car Show. Please tell your car friends about us. Have a great week. Stay cool like you know you are. Be sure and check our show online next Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon Central on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. We'll see you then. Please keep your pants on.